Hey, what's up everybody? This is Vodka here with a new video, and this time it's just gonna be me sitting here talking to you for a little bit. No tech to be shared or anything, just kind of my thoughts on what's going on with, I guess, the fighting game and the discourse that I've been seeing recently on the internet about what we all love to talk about, and that is simple inputs and I guess the removal of execution from fighting games. So I've been seeing online people, been going back and forth talking about whether one button specials should be the way of the future for fighting games. They talk about accessibility with fighting games, bringing in new players, etc., etc. So all these new games coming in have some sort of a quote unquote easy mode attached to them, and people have been talking about what they think about it. So generally, being a retro fighting game player, I lean towards actually requiring more execution and not going for these kind of simple one button specials. I just want to discuss, I guess, why my thoughts are for that reason. So here's a few bullet points that I want to point out. So number one, a lot of these people I see arguing for the easy inputs and the easy specials, I don't think they really understand. First of all, most of them are probably younger, I would assume, and they haven't been around since, I guess, since the Street Fighter 2 era. So there's a reason why certain inputs are required for certain special moves and why you need to perform them manually for them to come out, because otherwise it kind of kills the balance of the game. So adding them, for example, to older fighting games, I see these collections adding these one button specials for people to do them, actually kind of breaks them, because they're actually not even designed around these kind of mechanics of one button specials. For example, if you are able to do the Dragon Punch with one button and it comes out pretty much instantly, that's gonna be kind of game breaking in a lot of situations, because if you're just crouching, able just to mash one button for Dragon Punch all the time, that's not what the game is designed for. Like, you actually have to manually input the directions and lose guard, right, in order to do the Dragon Punch. And therefore, because you're losing guard and it takes time to execute the move, you won't be blocking. You can actually be hit out, so your Dragon Punch won't come out. So that's just one example. Another one would be if you're like walking backwards and it takes time to manually execute forward, down, down, forward to do the Dragon Punch from a back position, right? It takes time to traverse the distance. So therefore, making the move more difficult to execute, having less time to execute, requiring more brain power to focus on it. So all these things therefore allow people to actually jump in at you. So when you put heavy emphasis on their mental stack, and therefore it require more effort to do the Dragon Punch versus just pressing a button, that allows the attacker to be able to jump in at certain times, or else that you lose that aspect of the game, of the execution requirement. So that's point number one. Point number two, so execution, I see a lot of people seeing it as some sort of a barrier, where it's not really. I don't see it as a barrier. That is just part of the game. Part of fighting games, playing this genre of games, is the required execution to play the game. And the game isn't just, oh, I think something should happen, therefore it should magically happen automatically. It is, I think something should happen, then I make my body do the motions to make it happen in the heat of the moment, to be able to execute in those very close situations. That is the requirement of the game. That is the game. So removing execution essentially removes a portion of the game itself. You're essentially changing the game. So therefore, it's not really a hindrance. It's as something that you actually need to work towards, to practice, to get better at. So I always compare, playing fighting games with playing an instrument or anything that takes a lot of skill. So let's say you want to carve wood or something, right? You can't just be thinking, oh, I'm thinking I want to carve a squirrel and it should magically just happen, versus thousands of hours carving crappy squirrels until you finally get the skill you need to be able to do it well. So that is part of the hobby of the game. So point number 3. So people today are kind of just, they're hyper focused on the results. I feel like they're like, oh, I'm picking up the game, I just want to see the results of me doing cool stuff without actually putting in the work. They're like, well, it should just, I should just be able to pick it up and have it work. And that kind of goes into a problem with today's culture, I would say, in general. It's a much bigger conversation to be had for this. Because of how the internet has changed people, the way people think, and the people have grown up, their brains have kind of changed to adapt to this instant gratification. So recently I've been watching some of these podcasts and interviews about what's going on. So for example, I really like this podcast that with Simon Sinek about AI. Actually, AI is removing the work of learning, really, if you think about it. Well, it depends on how you use it. Well, most people are using it just to get the results, instant results.
People keep telling us that life is not about the destination, life is about the journey. That's what we keep being told, right? But when we think about AI, we only think about the destination. We only think about the output. We never think about the input.
So it's removing the learning process and just say, here is the result for you. Have at it. So I feel like that is kind of a correlation with this one button specials and having, instant special at your disposal. I want it, so there it is, without actually going through the effort of learning how it comes about, how to actually perform it yourself. So people are hyper focused on the results. So I want my DP come out every time without actually having to do the work towards it. And in the end, they don't really, gain that skill to be able to do that. So therefore, again, something is lost with actually playing the game. Something is lost with this hobby. Another point is that what happens with simplification, I want to call this simplification of the game, is that, I know a lot of people have brought this point up, is that the outcome becomes more one-dimensional, right? This isn't just one-button specials. It's kind of a problem that I see with a lot of the modern games, starting since, I guess, Street Fighter 4, because that already simplified things, but it also still kept a lot of the more difficult things, which makes it still interesting. But when it came to Street Fighter 5, or one frame links are too difficult. Gotta get rid of them. Can't people can't do them, so we gotta get rid of them. We want everybody to be able to do them. So when I'm watching, starting from Street Fighter 5, like, things just looked almost always the same to me. And when things are happening on the screen, I know that it was made easier, right? These links or whatever, they look more like dialogue combos to me. So carry over to Street Fighter 6, it's kind of the same stuff. So a lot of the execution barriers, I guess they made it easier for people, now with the one button specials. And now the gameplay, I'm watching it, it's like, it looks all the same to me. It's like, it's just not interesting. So that's just my point of making a game, I guess, not just from a playing standpoint, but even a viewing standpoint. It just doesn't look that interesting. And I'm watching these video trailers of these new characters, even new games. They all have the same formula to them. It's like, oh, here's a character, here's your cool combo that they can do, right? And then it always looks the same. It's like 1, 2, 3 into special, and then ends with their whatever their special, their super move, their super art, whatever you want to call them. And that's the end of the trailer. Like every trailer, I just watched another. It's not even Street Fighter. It's another game. I forget what it was, but it looked exactly. I was like, this looks exactly like all the other Street Fighter trailers. So it looks bland. That's what I want to say. And so therefore, people get bored of it. Because of this, people get bored of it. They play for a while. They're like, okay, and then they quickly die off. And then they're like, oh, we got to keep releasing new DLC. We got new characters. That's how you keep people playing. Rather having depth to the game, having people figure out the depth of a game, they keep releasing new content. I guess new costumes, whatever they need to release to keep people interested. Until the game dies, then they'll have a new game, which will operate in the same fashion, and then nobody will play the previous game anymore because there's just not enough depth to keep them interested. So that's how I feel about it. So I'm gonna link the videos of the interviews and the podcast that I got some of these ideas off of. Another good interview that I watched was about how people are, I guess, essentially losing hobbies. They're losing their hobbies.
One of the biggest hindrances of the hobby world, though, is that we don't want to work hard for our hobbies anymore.
Nobody wants to work these days.
We now live in a world of instant gratification, and so people, especially younger generations, are less likely to push through the tough stages of learning new hobbies to get to the good parts. We now live with instant coffee, instant answers, instant media, instant delivery, instant knowledge, and instant validation. In the year of 2025, our brains are just so wired to crave immediate validation that we convince ourselves to give up and move on to something easier if things get too hard.
Absolute waste of time. So boring, Jesus.
I see fighting games. Fighting games is a big hobby of mine, as you call it. I spend a lot of time in doing this. I mean, it's not just for recreation for me. I guess it's become an actual hobby. I work hard at it instead of just mindlessly play it, actually try to get better at it. That's something. I think a hobby requires effort to be considered a hobby. Like scrolling through Instagram is not a hobby to me. Or doing anything that's lack of any real effort on your part. I don't really consider that a hobby. That is just something for your brain to go off in space without having to think about anything. So fighting games, I treat it as a hobby, and depending on how serious you take your hobby, how much effort you want to spend into it. So therefore, I gravitate towards things that are more difficult, that'll take me a long time to get good at. I know the struggle comes with, because they're hard, it takes a long time, and that's okay. You have to tell yourself that's okay. Satisfaction you derive from the games. It comes from working at it, and that is the journey. The journey is what matters, not like I instantly want something to happen. I want to do this cool combo and I can just do it. That gives you no satisfaction, at least for me. I mean, I'm pretty sure for everybody. If you can just hit a button and have something done for you, then it essentially removes the satisfaction of actually struggling and trying to learn it and become it your own. So that's the video, guys. I guess these are just basically my thoughts on the simplification of fighting games, as I would like to call it. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and share it with somebody, and consider subscribing to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.